Oh, for goodness sakes, this is pathetic. This is pathetic, Mr. Chair.
Will be in order.
I am not asking trick questions here. The American people have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm talking.
If they're not privileged,
quiet.
Don't yell at me. If they're not
Mr. Chairman, would you stop the clock? This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
If they're
Goldman.
not
Even though
privileged,
you used your improper redactions.
You'll like my answer.
To
if we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Time belongs to the member.
answer the question about Penn.
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer Penn.
You.
Penn will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about this?
Chairman, you know what the answer is? And I think I understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore.
talk about Mohammed.
And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide.
Okay, hold up. We've got an Attorney General Pam Bondi hearing that supposedly goes completely sideways. And I'm already bracing myself because every time Trump world gets dragged into the light, it's the same pattern. Dodge, deflect, deny, and hope everyone just gets tired and moves on. Not today. If this hearing even touches the Epstein shadow orbiting these power circles, we're talking accountability, oversight, and who's been protecting who. All right, let's get into it. If you love explosive content like this and want to see more, click that subscribe button.
Stop the clock. This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
They're
Goldman.
not
Even though
privileged,
you used your improper redactions.
You'll like my answer.
To
if we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Wait, hold on. Did she really just do the whole define ties routine? Like we're in a middle school debate club and not a congressional hearing about whether senior officials were anywhere near the Epstein universe. That's the tell. When someone can't answer a basic plain English question, they're not clarifying, they're stalling. And the constant reclaiming my time chaos, every time a member tries to pin down accountability, it turns into procedural dodgeball. Meanwhile, Bondi's over here acting offended that anyone would even ask. That's not leadership. That's protection. Also, Pam Bondi isn't some random rookie. She's been in the Trump-aligned orbit forever, and this is the same vibe every time. Deny, deflect, pretend you don't understand the words, then act like the questioner is rude. Americans aren't obsessed. We're exhausted. Answer the question.
It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay,
instead
I'm
of a Border
reclaiming my
Patrol
time.
agent
I'm asking
murdered.
you not a trick question, a simple question. Okay, so what is clear is we have evidence.
Do you know
that
who Chris Malin is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I
does
can
ties
conclude,
mean?
I can conclude
What does
from what
ties
you are
mean?
saying that you have not talked to them.
What does ties
So,
mean? Can
I
you
think
define
Americans would be shocked to learn that you are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does
across
ties
the
mean?
world,
Can you define that?
across the world,
Can you
prominent
define
men
ties?
who've been
Time
exposed
belongs to the
in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace, and that's a good first start. And that same
Disgrace is
standard,
not saying the word
this
Chris
same
Malin.
standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Malin?
Was the president
he?
aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask
was
questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair.
One second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so
He
I'm
was
going to
shot,
conclude
and
that
she
the president,
never
in fact,
mentioned
did
him
know about his
in
ties
her
because
district.
he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes,
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic. This
beautiful
is
state.
pathetic, Mr.
Committee will
Chair.
be in order.
I am not asking trick questions here.
You
The
got your
American
5
people
minutes.
have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
Hold on. Did you catch that little word game? Define ties. Oh, okay. So now we're playing courtroom Scrabble because you don't want to answer a basic accountability question. And the chair jumping in with, it's not your time while the witness rambles? That's the whole strategy. Run out the clock. Confuse the public. Protect the powerful. Because here's the thing. When someone's calmly asking whether the president knew about an official's Epstein connections, and the response is to derail into some random guy's name and a Border Patrol story, that's not clarification. That's smoke. And we all remember how Epstein's orbit worked. Rich, connected men, favors, silence, NDAs, misunderstandings. So when they act allergic to transparency, it tells me they already know the answers look bad. Voters deserve receipts, not tantrums.
Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges, puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
Let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand
and I'm glad
here.
that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things.
When
but
we're
I
not
want you
agreeing,
to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison.
Oh no, stop. Did you see that? She gives a clean no and then immediately tries to filibuster her own answer like she's allergic to a yes or no format. That's the whole game. Answer the headline, drown the follow-up in mush. Hope the clock saves you. And credit where it's due. The lawmakers pressing her, especially the Vermont member, didn't let it slide. Reclaiming my time. Stop the clock. Remind the witness of the rules. That's not theatrics. That's oversight. That's what you do when the Justice Department starts acting like a PR shop. And the Maxwell transfer thing? Come on. A convicted sex trafficker landing in Club Fed vibes with puppy time and perks, reportedly, while survivors are watching? That's not just bad optics. That's re-traumatizing people in real time. Move her back. No special treatment. No excuses.
Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no evidence.
President Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock.
to
Please
sign
stop the clock.
the legislation. This is
Time
ridiculous.
belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
Hold on. Did she really just go with the "this is ridiculous" defense? That's the move? Not "here are the facts" and not "here's what DOJ did," just vibes and outrage because someone dared say Epstein out loud near Trump's name. And then the member comes in like, "I think you lied under oath," and says, and suddenly it's all, "Don't you ever accuse me." Oh, now we care about standards and decorum. Funny how that works. Here's the thing. The question wasn't even complicated. Were there underage girls at those parties? It's a yes, no, or it's I don't know. But this whole Trump world reflex is to fog the room, attack the premise, and act offended. And the witness statement stuff, if that's even remotely credible, why wasn't it run down? DOJ's job is to investigate, not protect powerful people. So yeah, most transparent presidency, please, that's propaganda with a flag on it.
Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no evidence.
President Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please
I'd like
stop
to
the clock.
reclaim my
to
time.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation.
Time.
This is
Time.
this
I'd like
is
to reclaim my
ridiculous.
time.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
Oh my God, did you catch how fast this whole thing turns into I was pardoned as a moral get out of jail free card? That's the tell. That's the whole sickness right there. You've got the chief law enforcement officer sitting there admitting, yes, this guy works at DOJ after allegedly being on video yelling kill him at cops on January 6th. And instead of 1 ounce of clarity, one sentence like, that's unacceptable, we get this shruggy little loophole. Well, he was pardoned. Yeah, by Trump. The same political operation that beat its chest about backing the blue and then turned around and sanitized an attack on police. And then Bondi starts playing word games, refusing basic answers, trying to hijack time while oversight offices get gutted. That's not leadership. That's cover. If your DOJ can't even condemn that on-camera behavior, what exactly are we protecting here?
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, kill him, at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of
he
Justice.
does. He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, kill him, at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, kill him, at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the Public Integrity section of the DOJ's criminal division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Madam Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like it.
Mr. Chairman, will you explain to the witness that he does reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the criminal division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many people
You've
work?
asked me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
PIN will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about this?
Chairman, you know what the answer is? And I think I understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney
Solomon
General.
in
So,
your district.
In any event,
who
I would
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop?
No, hold on. Did you catch how fast that whole thing turned into, but he was pardoned? Like that's a moral eraser. Like a pardon magically means the behavior never happened. The dude's allegedly on video yelling "kill him" at cops on January 6th. And the answer is basically yeah and this is the rot, right? The MARGA machine doesn't defend law enforcement. It defends loyalty. If you're on their team, you can assault cops, get a pardon, and then boom, welcome to the Justice Department. Meanwhile, the people who scream "back the blue" are real quiet when the blue is getting beaten on Capitol steps. And then she pivots into weaponization, like a reflex. That word is their security blanket. Oversight isn't weaponization. Accountability isn't persecution. Tell me in the comments, how is any cop supposed to trust this DOJ?
According to documents, Epstein had a worldwide sex trafficking ring. Girls from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Paris, modeling agencies sending him girls. He even had a relationship with a summer camp where he groomed girls at a picnic table. Ghislaine Maxwell says 29 Epstein associates cut secret DOJ deals. Turns out there is a list. 6 names readily available if you unredact them. Co-conspirators named, but we got them when you unredact them. Maxwell recently tells a House Oversight Committee that she wants clemency to release more names. Kash Patel under oath said Trump's name appears less than 100 times in the files. We now know that's not true. Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God. Okay, by the way, this is the Trump Bible. Move over, King James. Trump's name also appears more times in the Epstein file than Harry Potter's name appears in the 7 books about Harry Potter. Lutnick says that in 2008, he went to Epstein's home, says he had a massage table in the living room, that Epstein said he got one every day, that it was the right type of massage. He and his wife decide to leave and say they'll never be in a room with him again. Howard then says, I'm sure the Epstein stuff is all on video. He was the greatest blackmailer of all time. Well, how would Howard know that? But now the files are public, and in 2012, we found out that he and his family are on Epstein Island after Epstein pled guilty to state charges. I'm from Florida. I take my family to Disney World, not to Epstein Island. There are documents in the files that dispute the president's claim that he kicked Epstein out of his club. Allegedly, the president said that he asked Epstein to leave. Supported now, that's disputed though, statements from the manager of the club. Now, Madam Attorney General, I have like 25 seconds left. So because I'm curious, and I'd like to see you flip to the Jared Moskowitz section of the binder. I'm interested to see what staff provided on the oppo on me, and because we're in the Olympics, I'm gonna give it a grade. I just wanna see how good it is. So give me your best one.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did. You made a joke, and I find offense to that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book, which is the best one. What you got?
Oh my God, no, stop. I'm sorry. But that clip was a masterclass in how these hearings go off the rails the second someone starts connecting dots. You've got documents being cited, international recruiting, modeling pipelines, grooming at a summer camp, secret DOJ deals. Like, this is what an actual trafficking network looks like on paper. And the whole time, What does Bondi latch onto? Not the allegations, not the victims, not the unredact the names part. She clutches pearls about a Bible joke. That's the tell. That's not law and order. That's PR triage. And when you hear claims about redactions and co-conspirators lists, it rhymes with the same old pattern. Protect the powerful. Bury the specific. Stall until the public gets tired. Also, Trump asked to release the files. Okay, then release them. Cleanly, fully, no games.
Circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "This is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up, and this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will...
Okay, so after watching all that, here's what hits me hardest. This wasn't just a messy hearing. It was a full-on stress test of whether the justice system can even function when it's surrounded by loyalty games and political protection. Bondi's whole vibe was dodge, deflect, get offended, run out the clock. And meanwhile, you've got serious questions about Epstein, about special treatment, about who's getting protected, and the answers are basically how dare you ask? That's not accountability. That's a cover your friends culture. And the contrast mattered. The lawmakers pushing, especially the ones refusing to let the witness filibuster, weren't being dramatic. They were doing the job that oversight is literally for. Bottom line, if you can't give straight answers in public, you shouldn't be trusted in power in private. Stay loud, stay engaged, subscribe, because this isn't over.